Mother's Day is approaching very fast, and if you're still not sure what gift to give or actually maybe make, then today's video is for you. I'm hoping to inspire you to do some really cool projects, but also I'm going to show you how a really simple and basic laser cut project can be transformed into something much more interesting. Right then, so you know exactly what we're going to be making, but now I'm going to show you the step-by-step process of how to actually do it. And the machine I'm going to be using for today's project is the Creality Falcon A1. Now listen, if you're new to laser working, engraving, cutting, or you're just thinking actually about buying your first machine, I can definitely recommend you this one. It's more or less ready out of the box. There's basically no assembly to this machine. Everything is enclosed. You've got front doors, you've got top doors. You can clearly see what's going through. And because it's all closed up, well, you don't have issues with the fumes, as there is a fan at the back and you can hook up a hose through the window, or actually get yourself an inline extractor to help out those fumes to get out. On top of it, you do have a camera on the lid as well. So with the Falcon Design Space software, it's ever so easy with combination with the camera to actually position your work on the material you've got inside. So from ease of use, this is absolutely one of the simplest machines out there. It does have a very cool feature I'm going to show you in just a bit. Now let's jump into my laptop and I'll show you the first design we're going to be making. And check this out, I'm in the Falcon Design Space. I do have my first initial design, the basic one I want to show you. Okay, so it's a rose. It does have two layers with a engraved text. Okay, so the main layer and actually a base as well, so everything can stand up. We're going to be cutting that out. Let's think about the settings for this project. Okay, so first of all, engraving. As you can see in the red, the text I want to be engraved, and I know it's a very powerful machine and I want to have this done quickly, so we're going to go 9,000 millimeters per minute, and we're going to go with 90% power over here. Okay, with line cutting, it all depends on what material you're going to be using. Now this is designed for 3mm material, and Creality does offer a very cool and unique feature. Now you can get materials from Creality themselves, and for this project I'm actually going to be using this 3mm basswood board. But what you also do get are these cards with barcodes that represent the thickness and type of the material. So you don't have to guess the settings, the machine will sort that out for you. Check this out. First of all, let's put the material inside on our honeycomb base, just like that. And what we need to do is to establish the focal point for our laser module. And for that you do get this plate. This is absolutely super easy. You've got two locking pins for the module on either side. Undo them, and there is a plate to indicate what height you need. So just drop your module down onto that plate and lock everything in place. And that's it. You've set up the focal point for this module. And with that done, I'm going to drop this card down onto the material, and the camera will actually read the barcode. And what you need to do is slightly lift the lid. There you go. You've heard the beep, and check out the software itself. Automatic material identification. Now before I press yes, just have a look what we've got over here. Okay, so the material is green transparent acrylic, and line cutting we've got 100 speed and 95% power. So I'm just going to press yes. And check that out, it changed automatically to basswood board, 3mm, cutting line, we've got 350 by 100% power. How cool is that? And when we press camera, just over here, take a photo, that's what we've got inside. So now everything is set up, so we can remove our barcode card, take the photo again, so we know exactly where to place our project. Okay, make sure it fits. Okay, so you've got your multi-layer project. What we do want to do is to make sure that the engraving is actually done first. So let's do that, okay? Engraving should always be at the top. As sometimes when you actually do cut, the project could drop a millimeter or two, and then your engraving won't be as good. So always engraving first and cutting last. Now, another great feature with this machine is the fact it does support air assist. Okay, so in this set you do get an air pump that will make sure you get nice, beautiful cuts with your machine with not much overburn at all, and it just gives you a far better quality when cutting especially, and also a bit with engraving. Okay, so our first project is done. Let's have a look at the results. Got our base over here that goes one on top of the other like this, and then we've got our rows. As you can see, you know, cutting things out is not an issue. Got beautiful quality, no overburn thanks to the air support. And check that out, the beautiful engraving. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Absolutely brilliant. And now you can add the top layer, and look at that. That looks absolutely fantastic. And with the base like this is actually quite interesting, okay? It looks very nice. However, it is quite bland and it is quite boring in my opinion. We can do far better than this. Now let me show you. So this was our first project, okay? And it looks pretty nice. I'm gonna show you another version of this, okay? I've got one more just over here, and it will be a little bit different, okay? We do have a text inside, I love you mum, okay? Pretty nice. We do have the stand and everything else. However, in this case, we will be using additional materials to cut out the layers themselves, okay? The initial background and the stand, that's fine. We're gonna use plywood to cut that, okay? However, the text, okay, and actually the inside pieces, we're gonna be cutting out of acrylic, okay? And I think that will add the sparkle you need for this type of project. Now, a few specs about this machine. As I did mention, it's a 10-watt module. The work engraving area is 305mm by 381mm, and the laser spot is actually quite small, 0.06 by 0.08mm. And when it comes to safety features, you know, these are all the standards you could expect. You've got the emergency stop button, the locking key, and obviously the see-through plastic covers at the top and at the front will make sure that the blue dot laser will not harm your eyes. Plus the extraction fan for the fumes, you know, that all works together to make sure there's no fumes around your work area. And best of all, guys, this will not cost you a fortune. Such a fantastic compact machine, and you can pick it up for only 589 euros, okay? So definitely one of the best machines out there for beginners. And the machine has finished cutting out our beautiful rows like this. But now it's time for the acrylic. And again, yes, Creality does sell acrylic sheets with those cards, so you don't have to mess around with the settings at all. What we're gonna need a bit of green and a bit of red for the rows. Now, to cut the acrylic parts, we're gonna use our design over here. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna copy that, just like so. And I'm gonna change this to a separate layer. So with that plus sign, we're gonna add a layer. Now this will become green line cutting, okay? And I'm going to use those barcodes to actually establish the correct settings for cutting the acrylic sheet. But now what we need to do, I'm going to ungroup this. And first of all, I'm going to be cutting in the red acrylic. So I need the rose part, okay? And I need the heart. These are the two objects I'm going to need for my rose to be red. Okay, so I've just went through the process of scanning the barcode. As you can see, red transparent acrylic, line cutting, we've got 100 millimeters per second and 95% power. One safety feature, an obvious one that I forgot to actually mention, is the fact as the machine operates and for whatever reason you decide to open the front or the top, it will stop automatically and it will start beeping to let you know that it is open. And check that out, the machine has finished cutting out our acrylic piece with no issues at all. Now when you're going to be removing those smaller parts, smaller pieces, just make sure to be a little bit careful with that. As with those more intricate parts, you know, it can break quite easily. Now we can remove the covers from the acrylic. And look at that, what a beautiful color. The heart looks absolutely amazing. And check that out, it's a nice friction fit into our rose and it already looks so much better. It gives so much depth to our project. Okay, so the green parts are now sorted. Make sure not to lose any smaller parts. However, I want to go one step further. Okay, I've got this really nice purple acrylic, which I'm going to load up right now. And we're going to use that to actually cut out the sign itself. So we're not going to be engraving the sign. We're going to be cutting it out from acrylic as well. I think that's going to add additional depth and interesting look. Let's take a photo to see where we are. As you can see, the options on this machine are absolutely fabulous, okay? You can use the photo to establish the position of your work, super easy to use, okay? And the settings will be the same. And there you go, our sign is cut out. Now I'm gonna show you how to put our projects together. First of all, the basic one, okay? I'm actually using CA glue for everything, okay? It holds well and it holds very, very quickly. So there's no issues in, you know, prolonged waiting or anything like that. Just add the glue, give it a few seconds, and that's it. And most importantly, it is transparent. So if you do get a bit of overspill or anything like that, you know, it's not going to be that visible. So from that perspective, is definitely, I think, one of the best choices. With that done, now let's sort out the base. This will help us to align everything up and leave it to set for a few seconds. And the second project, it will be more or less the same, and the acrylic pieces I'm also going to be gluing up with some CA. Of course, some tools for the smaller pieces are definitely recommended. Now this, you know, don't rush with it, you just want to have the best possible outcome here. But for the main piece, again, bit of CA. When it comes to the acrylic pieces, what I tend to do is I add a bit of CA on some surface and then use a toothpick to actually get all that CA in the corners, okay? That's just, I think, one of the best ways of attaching the acrylic pieces, so the CA glue is not visible. And I'll carry on like this with the remaining pieces. And check that out. Tell you what, that looks absolutely gorgeous, okay? So much more interesting than the old plain cutout. This is definitely the step in the right direction to get your gift or your product to the next level. But that's not all. We still got the text that we cut out of acrylic to glue that on. And I do that in the same fashion. And there you have it, our product is finally completed. No issues at all, and it looks so much better when it's compared to a normal cutout with a laser, okay? Now I want to show you another version that adds more materials, okay, more cool things, something that you may consider when doing your projects. Okay, check this out. I've got another design for you this time. It's Daffodil. And I want to combine the acrylic with something else. And I think that something else will add an additional sparkle to the whole project over here. So first of all, as always, that's our base here, and we need to cut that out. So I'm going to go to camera, take a photo. I'm just going to try to utilize the scrap I've got, and again same settings, 350 by 100 single pass 3mm ply, and no issues at all. So let me cut this, and then I'm gonna cut that. Alright then, so I've got all the main pieces cut out, and what I want to do for this project is to have the green parts cut out from green acrylic. However, the inside of the heart and the flower itself, well, that's going to be with a special material. On top of it, we are actually gonna cut out the text from acrylic as well. Okay, so let me show you this option, as I think it is super cool. First of all, the main body, we're gonna put it together as we did before. So a bit of CA glue. Now it's time for the green acrylic inlays. Again, I'm just going to add a bit of CA on the side to my plate and just glue them in place. And now for the next stage, what we're going to use, well, I've actually got a bit of gold leaf. Okay, and for daffodils that's perfect because they're yellow, so the flowers will be in gold leaf, but also the heart as well. Now there's many ways you can attach this. For me, I'm actually going to be using a bit of wood glue, so I'm just going to get a bit of wood glue on here, and with a small brush I'm going to add the wood glue to those inside pieces. With the glue applied, I can now add the gold leaf. I've got a new brush and I'm just gonna try to add the gold leaf inside. Take your time with this process, no rush. And I'm doing the same thing on the heart as well. Tell you what, that gold looks absolutely super gorgeous. But now I do have some text cut out from acrylic. Best mum ever. And now it's time to glue up the base itself. And there you have it. From a very simple design, we went to a lot more interesting one with acrylic. I think this one looks absolutely superb, super gorgeous. And if you want, you can actually paint the plywood here with some colors, with some acrylic paint. However, in this way, I think everything pops a little bit more, and I do like the 3D effect of the letters. Yeah, so that looks super cool. And this one with the gold inside, tell you what, you know, that adds additional level of sparkle to the whole project, and the letters as well. So yeah, definitely very interesting option. So as you can see, it doesn't have to be boring. You can think of other materials you can use for this to make sure your project looks absolutely stunning and different from everybody else. Right, and finally the last project. Okay, a bit personal with some actual wishes on the card. I think this is gonna look really nice. Okay, so we've got one piece that will go on top of this one, just like so. Okay, and as I said, you do have some text on the right hand side, plus you can add a photo of your kids, of your mom, or whoever you want to the whole thing. I think that's gonna look really cool. And what I want to do as well is to actually, we're gonna ungroup this, and I'm just gonna copy the outside layer, okay? And this cutout, I'm gonna cut from acrylic. So the see-through, the plywood, you'll see the color acrylic piece. I think all of that's going to look really, really cool. Alright then, so we've got all 3 pieces, so it's time to put everything together. And as always, I will be using CA glue. Just make sure everything is nice and aligned correctly. And check that out. I think that came out really cool, especially with that acrylic addition as well. You know, you got personalized photo you can add personal text. In a way, it's a very simple design, but adding those little extras, I think it does make it pop. And best of all, there's a stand for it as well. Check that out. Now I hope today's video gave you a bit of inspiration of what you can do for this year's Mother's Day and in the future as well, or maybe potentially a new range of products, you know, going from something really basic but then adding additional materials to the whole thing to make it pop even more. So yeah, sky's the limit. Only your imagination is at play here. And there you go, guys. I hope today's video was informative and maybe interesting to you. Now, as you can see, having the basic design doesn't mean it needs to look like that. Adding few things, not changing anything in the design at all, maybe adding another layer from the existing design will make the whole thing pop even more. And on top of it, if you are beginning your journey, okay, you've got your first machine, you're not sure how to design and how to go about that, well, to be absolutely honest with you, all these designs or parts of them I've actually bought on Etsy. Okay, you can look for any design, any theme you want for laser files, laser cutting files on Etsy, and there's absolutely thousands of them. You can put some of them together or maybe just use parts of them to create the design that you want, and most of those designs will allow you to actually create the product and sell it as well. However, there's also another fantastic tool to create your designs. It's absolutely perfect for people like me, for example, where, well, I'm not a great designer, and it's AI. Okay, it's definitely AI. I've been using it for, well, past year at least to create all my designs or help me out with creating all my designs or parts of them, and definitely I do recommend that. And tell you what, if you want a video from me about how to utilize AI to create graphics for your projects, let me know down below in the comment section. If there will be a greater need, I will create that video for you. Now, if you are in a market of actually buying your first machine or actually buying another one or an upgrade one, then I can honestly recommend you the Creality Falcon A1. Fantastic machine, fully enclosed, no hassle of putting it together. It works really, really well. A perfect machine for anyone that wants to start the adventure or actually upgrade their machine from a very old model or open frame one. So I'm going to drop some links to the Falcon A1 down below in the description of this video. And as I said at the beginning of the video, this will not break the bank. If you want to try it and for whatever reason you're not going to like it, you're not going to lose a fortune. So definitely it's a machine worth considering. But hey, at this point, I just wanted to say a massive thank you to my Patreons for the ongoing support. And before you go, check out these 2 cool playlists, plenty of videos there. So click on them and maybe you'll find your next video. For today, that's all. Thank you so much. Take care.